Hey everyone, in this video we're going to see how to convert your old Android device into a functional home server. So let's get started. Let's say you have an old Android device lying on your shelves for a pretty long time. You don't have a use for it. Why don't you actually make a home server out of it and make it useful instead of keeping it unused? So that's what we're gonna do today. So we're gonna make a basic media streaming server with Jellyfin in the same Android hardware. This is going to be a very beginner-friendly tutorial, so let's get started. But there are some limitations. First thing is power management. Android is not an operating system designed to be a server, so you'll be having a lot of power management issues because Android is designed in a way to strip down all unwanted services and applications running in the background to make it power efficient for the mobile phones. So you have to do some tweaks with the power management settings. Next thing is, so you can't expect the same level of experience you would get on an actual server or setting it on a desktop or Raspberry Pi, because your Android device is pretty much old and it does not have much computing power like flagship Android devices, so that you cannot expect that. But still, this is pretty good when it comes to experiencing the server configs and experience how a home server works. And of course, I don't recommend this to people who actually want to use a home server full-fledged. So this is only for educational purposes. So if you want to try this, you can try it. So I don't actually recommend relying entirely on an Android home server. So, or if you're just planning to stream very basic things, self-host your own media server for books, media, videos, movies, all those things, this is pretty good. So without any further ado, let's get started. So here I have the phone, and the first thing what I want to do is I have to factory reset this device. So when you reset your device, all your files and data will be erased, so please make sure that you have a backup, and once you have your backup you can safely reset your device. So I like to do it in the hard reset way because I don't actually like going into the settings and resetting the device. Click on this power and volume up button at the same time. Just press and hold it. So in this screen I would like to go to the recovery mode, and there we go. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and click on clear data, and click clear data, and then just clear data. So it's gonna take some while, so let's wait. So all data is clear, so we can click on return and back. Now just restart the device. Yes. So now once your device is resetted, we can just go ahead and set it up. So you have to do the basic setup like you do on your phone. You have to sign in with your Google account and just open the completed setup. So I have resetted this device, and as you can see, so the first thing what I want to do is we need to go to settings, and then I want to just change the screen timeout settings, because the device will be shutting off, the screen, so that we need the screen timeout, and let's change that to the maximum available. If you have never or don't turn off options, you can enable that. That's very advisable, but in my device there is no such option. We need to download an application called as Termux. So you can get Termux from Google Play Store, but I recommend you getting it from F-Droid, because they have a newer version compared to the Play Store version. So once you do that, just click on this F-Droid link over here. You can also find this link on my description box. So just scroll all the way down and click on download APK here. Okay, now just open that with package installer. Okay, so it will ask you to enable this settings to install unknown apps. Just install that, click on open, and that will open Termux. Basically it's like a terminal emulator but for your Android device. So the first thing what we're gonna do is we need to run pkg update. I'm gonna use SSH to communicate with this server. So the first thing what we're gonna do here is we're gonna install SSH server. Now let's just type pkg install open SSH, enter, and then I want to install another package called Termux services. The next thing what we're going to do is we need to set up a root password, not a root password, we're going to change the password for the default user of this Termux login. So type passwd, type your new password. Alright, so once you type your password, the next thing we're going to do is we need to find the username of this device. You can get that by typing who am I. There we go. So this is the username of the device. So you need to have your Wi-Fi connected all the time, because only if the Wi-Fi is connected you'll be able to access this server remotely. So for that, just type ifconfig, and there we go. So here we can see this is the IP address, this one. So we're gonna get connected through SSH. So first let's enable SSH. You can type that SSHD and hit enter. There we go. So now let's just connect to this mobile using SSH. Also, you have to do one more thing, that is to enable Termux to access your internal storage. We can do that by typing Termux setup storage, and that will open this screen. Click on allow and go back, and we're done. So that's it. Now let's go back to our computer and connect to SSH. Alright, so I'm inside my computer. So the first thing what I want to do is I'm going to open up my terminal. So I'm using a Mac. If you use Windows or Linux, you can open up your terminals. So in the terminal, what I'm going to do is we need to connect to the SSH of our mobile device. So you have to have Termux opened and your screen unlocked, so in order to connect to the SSH, okay? But we'll fix it soon. For now, just keep it as that way. So the first thing what you have to do is we need to type SSH-P to define a port, because Termux does not support the default port. So you have to define a specified port for connecting to SSH. So in this case, usually Termux uses 8022 as the port, so we're gonna do that. And with 8022, we're gonna type the username which you got from typing who am I. So I'm gonna type my username, which is u0_8227. Once you have that, type @ and the IP address, so 168.0.5. And once you have typed your IP address, just hit enter, type yes, type in your password which you set by typing passwd, and we are inside our Termux window. So now we are going to execute some commands in order to get Jellyfin up and running. So the first thing what we're going to do here is we need to change our repositories mirrors, because by default Termux just goes through all the mirrors available globally, so we have to change that to a particular region. So to do that, we can just type Termux change repo, and once you do that, click on the mirror group, that's the default, and scroll down to your region. In my case it's Asia, so I'm going to click that and wait for that to refresh the dependencies, and there we go. So as you can see, we have got 73 packages upgradable, so we can just type pkg upgrade to upgrade those packages. And we're done. So by this part you can just restart your Termux, but I'm going to proceed directly. So the next thing what we're going to do is we need to install git. So pkg install git, and we also need tmux, and with this let's just hit enter. So we can use these default folders by Android, or to create new folder you can just go ahead and do it as well. So Now what we're going to do is we need to clone a repository in GitHub. So we can type git clone depth1 https://github.com/george7/termux udocker. Hit enter, and after that get inside that folder termux udocker. Hit enter, and from here we can, if we type ls, we can see all these options here. So we can just go ahead and execute any script to install that onto our system. So in this video we're just gonna do Jellyfin and file sharing server, and we also have a Nextcloud script, so I'll make a separate video on how to configure Nextcloud with udocker. So for now let's just execute jellyfin.sh. So it already has the execution permission, so we can just run bash jellyfin.sh, and that will install Jellyfin on our device. So we can see that Jellyfin setup is initializing, so let's wait. So now we can just open up our browser and go to your search bar and type your IP address of the device, and then what you have to do is type a colon and type 8096. So that's the default port Jellyfin uses. Hit enter, and you'll see this screen. Okay, so you need to wait for some time in order to make this work, but meanwhile we can set up Termux so that this won't terminate when we close our SSH terminal. So just press Ctrl C, clear CD, and just navigate to SD card, and from here I'm gonna use the default folders for hosting my media. So in Jellyfin, if I want to host movies, I want to put movies in this directory. If I want to host any books or audiobooks, I'll be using this same directories as well. If you want to create new directory, you can create it, but please make sure that you have restart your Jellyfin service after creating that, because then only the Jellyfin will be able to access all these folders. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to type Termux new -s. I'm gonna name my service as Jellyfin. So by default, Termux does not have a daemon or a service. Like even T-root distros does not have a built-in service, so that you have to use screen or Termux in order to get this work. So hit enter, and we'll be having a terminal-like screen. Navigate to Termux udocker. Yeah, and just run jellyfin.sh. Once we run that, as you can see, these are the available directories which are mounted on top of Jellyfin. So once Jellyfin is initialized, we can hit Ctrl B and just hit D. That will detach us from Jellyfin. Alright, we can attach to Jellyfin by typing Termux attach -t Jellyfin, and we can open up Jellyfin. Okay, so we can again press Ctrl B and D to close to detach the Termux service. Now we can instead of just waiting blindly, we can see whether the server is accessible. So we can do that by typing curl command. So curl -I, and then type http:// and your IP address /:8096. So once you get this 302 found or 200 code on your terminal, then your Jellyfin is accessible. So we can go back to our browser, and then we can just type this IP address and hit enter. It's gonna ask this option, just click on add server. We can type the the IP address from here, including the port. So once you do that, alright, so there we go. So now the server is ready. So it took me around 8 minutes so it can be taking time as per your hardware. So now let's just change our server name. I'm gonna change that to mobile server and hit next. And now the username, so I'm gonna keep my own name as the username. By default it'll be root, so I'm gonna change that to my name. And your password, next. And this is the main area. So what we have to do is click on add media library. So from here you can specify the type of content you want to add to Jellyfin. You can add multiple libraries as well with multiple types. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to make a movies library, and from here we can click on this folder, and from here we can type /SD card, and I'm going to use the default movies folder in my Android. So I'm going to click that and click on OK. Now you can modify all these according to your needs. I'm going to click OK. Now movies library is added, so we can click next, and we're gonna change that to India in my case. So let's change it, hit next. Now next, and once we're done we can just click on finish, and there we are. So now let's just log in with the usernames which we created. So I'm gonna click on sign in. With that, there we go. So now we are inside Jellyfin, which is running on our Android. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to copy some content into Jellyfin. Okay, you can use SCP for transferring these files. So first let's just exit the SSH, and we're gonna use something called as SCP, and type SCP hyphen capital P for port, and I'm gonna use 8022. And now we can just copy a movie. In this case I'm gonna copy this movie right here. You have to add quotations in the last and the first places, and then type your username of your Termux installation at the IP address of your server, and then type :/SD card/movies. And once you do that, it will ask you for the password. If you type a password, you refresh your Jellyfin server, and you'll get that movie or any content which you copied. So you can play that and you can stream it just like that, and you can adjust your Jellyfin settings from the dashboard. So you can see this entire Jellyfin server is running on my Android phone. So now what else we can do? We can copy stuff to Jellyfin and make it as a streaming server. The next thing is we're gonna see how to connect it to Tailscale and use the device outside your network. Alright, so in our mobile phone you have to install Tailscale. So I already installed Tailscale. Just open Tailscale and then okay, get started. Sign in with your Google account. So you'll be needing a Tailscale account. So once you have it, you can sign in with your account. Once you sign in, just click connect, and that device will be added to your tailnet. So as you can see, the device is added to the tailnet, and from this you can access your device with this IP address over here. Right, so this is your VPN IP address, and you have to install Tailscale on your other device in which you are connecting your phone through SSH. Once you have that, you can connect to your server remotely. So this is how you install Tailscale and convert your old Android device into a home server for streaming media. To keep your device up and running, you have to connect it to a charger or a power outlet every time, because battery issues is a major issue, and of course your battery will drain even faster. You'll lose your battery capacity a lot. That's why I recommended you to use it on your old unused Android device. And also please make sure that you have your phone in a very ventilated area. Don't put it inside a cover, just keep it ventilated, connected to a power source, and maintain the phone very healthy. And once you do all these, you'll be having your own Android device streaming server. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give a like, share, and subscribe to Tech Fortitude. And I'll see you guys in my next video.